If the relationship was so bad, why didn't you just leave? If you've ever heard that question or asked it to yourself, you already know how painful, minimizing, and invalidating it can feel. Because the truth is, toxic relationships don't trap you with pain, they trap you with hope. One moment they're kind, the next they're cruel. One day they hurt you, and the next they hold you. And slowly you find yourself second guessing everything, trying harder, staying longer, and blaming yourself for the shift. This isn't weakness. It's not a lack of willpower. It is a cycle, a psychological loop that is designed to confuse you, exhaust you, and keep you emotionally tethered to them. And it has a name, the cycle of abuse. And once you understand how it works, something can shift. You stop asking, why did I stay? And you start realizing, I was being conditioned to. Hi, I'm Callie Sorensen. I have a master's in the psychology of coercive control, and I help people recognize, escape, and recover from toxic relationships. And I also speak from lived experience because I know firsthand how hard it is to untangle love from control and hope from harm. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through one of the most important frameworks that I teach, the cycle of abuse and its 4 phases. And once you name them and see them, you can begin breaking them. So let's get into what this cycle really looks like in everyday life. So what exactly is the cycle of abuse? The cycle of abuse isn't chaotic, it's patterned. It follows a predictable 4-stage loop that repeats over and over and over again, and each phase plays a specific role in breaking down your clarity and building that emotional dependency that keeps you stuck. So let's walk through it. Phase 1 is what we call the calm or honeymoon phase. Let's start at the beginning because this is the part that pulls you in where everything feels easy, natural, maybe even magical. They're present, kind, attentive. They're focused on you. You're laughing, connecting, dreaming about the future, and you feel seen, maybe in a way you've never felt before. And it feels intense, but also comforting, like you finally found home. And you think, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. I'm finally safe to open up. I can let my guard down. And your body agrees. Your feel-good hormones, that dopamine, oxytocin, they're surging. Your nervous system begins attaching really fast. This emotional high makes everything glow. So if something feels a little off or too fast or too intense, you don't question it. You call it chemistry, meant to be, finally, the one, because this is the part that feels like love. But in unhealthy dynamics, it's not love. It's a setup. It's a hook. And soon the cycle moves into phase 2, tension building. This is when something shifts. The warmth that you felt begins to cool. They pull away or grow irritable. Their tone of text changes. They seem distracted, distant, or overly critical. You feel it in your body before you understand it in your mind. You start walking on eggshells and you think, did I do something wrong? Maybe I'm just being too sensitive. I don't want to ruin the good thing that we have. So you try harder. You overthink your words, you overexplain, and you try to keep the mood light, anything to avoid rocking the boat or creating conflict. But this is where the control begins, and it's subtle. They might tease you, but it stings. They might joke about your past, but it lands like shame. They might criticize, withdraw, or use silence as a punishment. But none of this is obvious enough to call abuse, so you internalize it. You adjust yourself. You start to believe that if you can just get it right, you can get to that honeymoon phase again. But that's the trap, because what you're really doing is learning to betray yourself just to keep the peace. And this is when the cycle can shift into phase 3, the incident. Because eventually something happens. The tension breaks. There's a blow up, a shutdown, a huge argument, or a breakdown in the connection. Maybe it's yelling, accusations, name calling, or maybe it's stonewalling, disappearing, or turning ice cold. And in some instances, they might even throw things or get physical. But whatever form it takes, something shifts dramatically. You're left feeling confused, anxious, ashamed, scared, and you think, what just happened? And more often than not, they flip the script onto you. You yelled at me. You're impossible to talk to. Why do you always start fights? Suddenly, you're the problem, even if you were the one hurt. And now you're the one apologizing. The focus turns away from their behavior and toward your reaction to it. That's the psychological inversion that keeps the cycle going. And you stop asking, was that abusive? And you start asking, what did I do wrong? Instead of looking at them, you look within yourself. And this is where your reality starts to erode, because whether it was an explosion or a withdrawal, it was a rupture. And now you're stuck trying to fix it. But the next phase is what pulls you right back in. This is what leads us to phase 4, reconciliation or reconnection. Just when you're questioning everything, they come back, softer, sweeter, familiar again. You might get a warm text, a late night, I miss you. Maybe they show up with flowers or an apology or a convincing excuse or logical rationalization or justification. This is often when they might explain their behavior away with what seems like vulnerability. They open up about their past trauma, their childhood, their abusive parents or ex, their stress at work. They say, I'm just scared of being hurt again, or I never learned how to love properly growing up. I really want to be with you. And suddenly you feel bad for them. You shift into compassion. You want to believe them. You hold on to some potential that's way out there. Then come the words that you've been dying to hear. I'm working on myself. You're the only one who really gets me. This time it'll be different. And for a moment, it feels like relief. You sigh, your body unclenches, and your hope returns. And you think, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe we just had a rough patch. But this calm isn't safety. It's the reset. Because now you're back at the beginning of the abuse cycle. Back to that sense of closeness, affection, calm, that honeymoon phase. And what feels like love is actually the glue that holds the abuse in place. So now I want to talk about the psychology behind this. Because why is it so hard to walk away even when you know it's not healthy? The answer is a powerful psychological tool called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same pattern that happens in gambling addiction. You never know when you're going to get that reward. But when you do, it feels so good. It keeps you hooked. In toxic relationships, this can show up as one moment they hurt you, but then the next they hold you and love you. One day you're crying, and then the next they're saying that you're their soulmate. After every explosion comes a wave of affection, attention, or even gifts. Your brain starts associating chaos with closeness. The emotional highs feel euphoric, especially after the low lows. And that contrast is what creates the addiction. You start chasing the next good moment, the next apology, the next sign that they do love you. This is what makes abuse feel like love, because it mimics intensity, not intimacy. You don't just want to leave. You want to get back to the good part, back to the honeymoon. But here's the truth. The good part is part of the trap. So how do you break this cycle? First, understand what you're up against. This isn't just a bad relationship. It's a psychological trap. It's a cycle, and it works like an addiction. Every time you're hurt and then comforted, every time you're devalued and then praised, your brain releases chemicals like cortisol, dopamine, and oxytocin that hook you. It creates emotional highs and then crashes, and your body starts to crave that next high, even when you know it's harmful. And that's why leaving can feel impossible, and why statistics show that it takes an average of 7 to 10 attempts for somebody to leave an abusive relationship for good. And when I work with clients, we treat this like an addiction, not because you're weak, but because it's your nervous system and it's been trained to depend on chaos and then relief. And when you go no contact or you finally walk away, you crash. It feels like withdrawal. Your body aches for their attention, their voice, even their approval. You question yourself. You wonder if it was even that bad. You start romanticizing the good part. And that's why the first step is to see it, to see this abuse cycle, to name the pattern and track the cycle and write it down. Number 2 is to expect the crash. Know that your body and brain are going to crave that dynamic. This doesn't mean that you should go back. It means that your system is detoxing. And number 3, get support. Healing from the cycle isn't something you should do alone. Find trauma-informed care. Find a community, friends you trust, resources that remind you of the truth, especially when the guilt or longing kicks in. And if you want support from me, I offer one-on-one sessions to support you to break free from this cycle. A link to a free consultation call is in the description below. And number 4, anchor into the truth. So every time your brain says, maybe it wasn't that bad, remind yourself love doesn't hurt you over and over and over again, and call it love and growth. And one more thing, if anyone ever asks you, why didn't you just leave? Just know that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their lack of education around coercive control. They don't understand how covert abuse works. They don't understand the psychology behind why people stay. And that's exactly why I make these videos on this channel. If you're watching this and realizing you're in the cycle, please hear this. You're not broken. Nothing's wrong with you. You were surviving in a cycle that was designed to trap you. Your nervous system was doing everything it could to make sense of the chaos. But now you're seeing the pattern, and that awareness, that is your power. Breaking the cycle doesn't happen overnight. It's not linear, and you don't have to do it alone. And if you're ready to break out of this cycle, make sure you check out my video about how to go no contact. I'll walk you through the emotional fallout, how to prepare your nervous system, and how to survive the crash so that you don't go back. You can find it linked on the screen and in the description below. And if you want personalized support, I offer that. You deserve safety, you deserve clarity, and you don't have to do this alone. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.